Hi, today we're going to discuss a topic which seems to be on every manager's mind. How do I know what my staff are doing when they're not in the office? How do I manage them when they're working at home? And Microsoft has built a thing called shifts into Teams so that you can create and define the shifts your staff are supposed to work and have them swap and change shifts accordingly and still have a record of all of those things. They've additionally added in a clock in and clock out facility which allow you to track the minutes and hours that they're busy in a particular day. So depending on which level you want to manage, whether you want to manage by day or by hour, they have a solution for both. What I've got here is I've got a little test environment set up inside of Teams so we can show you what this looks like. When you go into the shift section, if you've got multiple teams, you can obviously set up a schedule on top of any of the teams you want. So I've got a test team here inside of there. I've added some members to that test team, and I've added a group and some members to that group, and into that group I've added some open shifts. And here's the open shifts that are sitting up here. What I want to do is just show you how you can have multiple groups. Alright, so let's add a group. I'm going to call this group 2. We're going to add a couple of members to group 2. Here we have group 1 and there we have group 2. And what we're going to do is we're going to add in some shifts accordingly into group 2 so that people can take those shifts and work them. The first thing we've got to do is add a shift. Think of it as a coupon that the staff member can request and then fulfill. If we add an open shift, you'll see we get a generic definition of a shift. It's an 8 to 5 shift. There's only one slot, but we've got 2 people, so we're going to pop in 2 slots so that each of them can take a slot in the shift. So this number of slots refers to the number of people that you have. You can leave the shift open for them to request, or you can leave it as a closed shift, so you can switch that off as well. Now here's a normal 8 to 5 one. You can put a custom label if you want, and you can add a shift note. So the custom label we'll put in here is office shift, and we don't have to put a note in there, and you can leave it at that level if you want to. Otherwise, what you can do is you can actually define the shift, and you can say, great, this shift starts, this is going to be the morning session. It starts at 8, it runs until maybe 11 o'clock, and that's a paid section. You can then add a new one. You can say, great, this is lunch, and you have a half-hour lunch, and that's paid, or you can make the half-hour lunch unpaid, whatever you want to do, it doesn't really matter. You can add a new one in saying this is the afternoon session, and you can make that from there until they go home, which in our case was 5 o'clock, and then you can say done, and it shows you little blocks inside of there showing you each of them. If you wanted to color code this differently to show it, you could change that as well. So you're able to define not just the outer wrapper of the shift, but also the sessions or the shift activities in the middle as well. Once you've saved that, you now have a definition of 2 shifts that are sitting there, and what the person down below can do is then request a shift. So what happens here is the person can go along and say, great, I want the shift, and this person can go along and say, I want the shift. And at that point, both those shifts will be fulfilled. There won't be any shifts left over. You can also have different shifts, multiple shifts. So if I wanted to create in Tuesday one office shift and one home shift, for example, that could be done as well. And we don't have to redo it. We can actually copy this and paste it into the next block, and you'll see I've got that in there. But then I can go along and I can go and edit that, And I can say, great, this was 2, but I actually only want 1 of those for that day. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to add an open shift, and I'm going to make this one a different color so people can see that it's a different color. There's 1 of them. I'm going to call this a home shift, and I'm going to add an activity, and I'm going to say it's from 8 to 12, and this is going to be the morning. I'm going to add a new one in here saying lunch, and we'll make that a sizable lunch. We'll make it an hour's lunch, an hour's unpaid lunch, and then we'll take an afternoon session and we'll make that through until the end of the day. Now remember, this 5 o'clock is because we defined the outer wrapper as 8 to 5 over here. All right, fantastic. Save that, and you'll see that I've got 2 types of shifts now on this day. And I've only got 1 of each, which means that 1 of these guys has to take 1, and 1 of them has to take the other shift. But they can swap and trade as they want to, so they can decide between them to swap, and one goes to the office and 1 goes to home, or the reverse. So that's the mechanism that you use to lay all these things out and get these shifts done. What's nice is you can actually highlight oops, let's not do that. You can highlight a range of blocks like this, and you can copy that entire range of blocks and paste it into somewhere else. You can copy an entire week or an entire month and copy it into the month ahead. So once you've set up these things, it's very easy for yourself to copy paste them into all the blocks that are going by, get your shift set up and ready to go. What then happens is people are able to accept them on their phones. So what we can do is we can go and have a look at the phone and see what does it look like on the phone itself. This is what your employees will see on their cell phones. As you can see, I have the 18th, Monday the 18th, as a shift that I have, and I can see that with the shift that I've got, I can swap and offer the shift that I have. So these are here. If I want to see what's open, I can go and click on open, and it says conflict in the corner here because I already got one. So I can't go and ask for that one. It would conflict with the one that I've already got. But I can go to the 19th, and I can go and request either of those 2 on the 19th. So if you have a look here, you see there's 2 for the 19th, 1 from 7 till 4, 1 from 8 till 5. Maybe on the 19th I decide, no, I'll do the early one, please, and I'll request that shift. And that will go off to my manager, and he can approve. Now, as the owner of this test team that I've got, I am the manager. So I can go and approve that. And now I have that shift as well. And you'll see in the background that shift pops across, and now I have 2 7 a.m. shifts, 1 on Monday, 1 on Tuesday. And that's how they can fill it in. And you'll see that they are listed now in my shifts. Now I don't have the time system set up on this one here. So what I'll do is I'll swap across to one where it is set up, and I can show you the time clock quickly. So this is how the time clock works. And it says you're off the clock, and if you hold down the button, it clocks you in. Now it's completely separate to the shift system. Whether you've accepted a shift, whether you're on a shift or not, makes no difference. These clock in and clock out times are added into an export that comes out of Teams, and I can see when somebody clocked in. I can see when they started a break, and how long their break was for. I can see when they went off the break, and I can see when they went off the shift. Now up here you'll see that this is all 0 minutes, 0 minutes, 0 minutes, because I didn't do any of those for longer than a minute. But you can see the testing I've been doing gives you different kind of indications as to the time durations that have been running. So there's our 2 shifts that I've booked for myself over there, and this is just done at that level with the shifts themselves and the sessions inside the shifts. What happens from there is that you can get, when you make changes to this environment, by the way, when I copy and paste shifts in, I put new stuff down, etc., there is a share with team button that must be clicked by the manager so that it can be shared with the team. So any changes are made to the schedule are then shared with my entire team. So if you see that share with team ready to be clicked, it means that you've made changes and they still need to be synced to the entire team. Right, so that's how you would set up something. That's how your staff would engage. That's how they would pick up shifts and so on. And then from there, you're able to export the schedule. So you can then export the schedule to see who is booked for when. You can give it a start date, give it an end date. This is going to give me the entire May. And I can include the daily hours. I can include the time off. I can include the shift notes. And when I hit the export button, it's going to then export all that data and download the file. And inside of there, you'll see the schedule, what days, who's got what, and the totals. Total paid hours, total unpaid hours, etc., etc. So it gives you quite a detailed breakdown of what carries on inside of there. So you should be able to use this as an attendance system and a time and attendance system for your workers, whether they're in the office or out of the office. Now you can take this a couple of steps further. When you're actually setting up the team itself, there are things that you can switch on and switch off. You can add in things like vacation leave, parental leave, time off, unpaid leave, sick day, and you can add in custom options. And then the time clock in, clock out can be added in as well. And when you add in this, you're able to include location detection and say, great, I want to include location detection. You then need to know the coordinates. And just remember that if you do ask for this on your employees' phones, it's going to prompt them to say, this application needs access to your GPS, and they'll have to say yes, and then it will detect their location when they clock in and when they clock out, so that you know where they clocked in and where they clocked out. And obviously there's a little link here to help you to get to know what are the coordinates of that, so you can enter the coordinates inside of here, and then they'll only be able to clock in and out at that location. So then what we should be able to do here is turn it on. And then you can export the time reports from here. So the time clock will come, the time clock export will come out of here. And that's the advanced settings inside of the website. As a manager, you will normally do all your requests either on the cell phone where you can approve them, or in the web-based application you'll see them here as well, where you'll see all the requests that are sitting here, and you'll see some of them that aren't approved, and you can go in there and you can go and approve them for yourself. And obviously we're back to the main tab here where the main schedule is. So if you think this can help you, if you think this can help you manage your staff members, whether they're in the office, out the office, and what time they started and stopped certain activities and things like that, then certainly inside of Teams this can be configured to suit you. Just remember in the groupings that when you group people together, they share a particular schedule and they can swap and trade shifts. People in another group cannot share that schedule or swap and trade shifts with those people. So people that have to swap and trade shifts or alternate have to be in the same group as far as your configuration goes. This is a little bit of a work in progress, and there are more and more features coming out for it on a regular basis. People have already asked for multiple locations for clock in, clock out, various other features, and they will be coming along the way. Microsoft is quite committed to getting this up to speed for all the requirements that a business would need during this COVID time. And that is that. I hope that helped. I hope this is something that you can use. If so, just give us a shout and we'll help you configure it.